All right, shalom, everyone. My name is Tina. Welcome to Hebraic Awakening. And I'm doing a series for our women 40 and over. Okay. And this is geared toward courting, Hebraic courting or courting. Okay. For women over 40. And I want to preface this video by saying that I am not bashing any men. Okay. This is a candid honest talk to our women over the age of 40, right? And the reason why I am really gearing or aiming for women over 40 is because we are immature. This generation, my generation, 40 and over, we lack maturity in some areas. We do. And we just have to be honest. Okay. We may be kicking tail in owning businesses, or we may not even have our finances in order, right? And we are emotionally immature, especially when it comes to relationships. That is the biggest thing that I see. And I have experienced this myself. I will be 49 in April. I have been married for 15 years. I have 5 children, ages 29 all the way down to 20. So I am a mature, seasoned woman, and I have some wisdom that I want to share because I was a single mother to 5 children before my husband married me. You heard me. My husband married me with 5 children. And he not only married me, but he adopted my 5 children, meaning that he put his name on that birth certificate. So the whole family, we are McCormick's, right? And I want to share with you some knowledge and wisdom that I had to gain when I met my husband at 34. And I realized that I was immature, even though I was raising children and doing the best that I can, that I was immature in some areas. There are women who have it together, meaning they have their finances together, they own a home, they own their own car, but their relationships, their emotional maturity is way off. And those of us in the Hebraic faith, or even in the Christian faith, even in the Christian faith, we throw logic out of the window and we masquerade how we think when it pertains to courting with our spirituality, with our faith. We masquerade logic, we masquerade common sense, and we put common sense and logic to the side and put spirituality first. And sometimes we don't even know what that means. Okay. And we marry or we get involved with men that may look the part, they may speak the part, but their life and what they're showing you is totally opposite. So I'm coming from an unpopular way of thinking in the Hebraic community. And other women, I know they will agree with me. But when it comes to our Hebraic faith or even Christian faith, we have let the church and our assemblies really fog fog our way of thinking because we can't blame it all on them. We're not going to blame it all on the church and on the assemblies and congregations. We're going to take blame and we're going to be accountable. But we do let the church and we do let our Hebraic assemblies and congregation and camps just blind us sometimes. And we're going to talk about why that is as women, because that's one of the things that men do not like. Real men. I'm talking about men. I'm talking about men who are operating in their full masculinity. And we're going to get very, very honest. I am going to say some things that's going to prick you, that's going to be thought provoking. And I'm not coming from a spiritual aspect. Now, take your Hebraic mindset when it comes to dating right now, because we masquerade our logic and our common sense with that. And sometimes we don't even know what we want, right? So we're going to put that to the side, okay, for just now, right now. And we're going to think logically. And we're going to use our common sense. And we're going to go back down memory lane. And we're going to look at our grandparents, our great grandparents, our uncles, our aunties, people who are friends of the family, people who you know in the neighborhood that have been married for 30, 40, 50 plus years. And we're going to take a look. Because as me and my husband was talking just today, we both agreed. Our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents didn't meet in the church. I'm not saying that everybody is like that. I'm saying majority of long-lasting relationships, when you ask them how they met, they're going to tell you they met at a laundromat, they met at a birthday party, they met at the grocery store, wherever. But none of them really has said, I was sitting in church and I was serving the Lord and I'm saved and sanctified. And then my husband came walking in and boom. Now, can you get married like that? Sure you can. We are not saying that you cannot get married sitting in your assembly and sitting in the church. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about common sense and logic. And most of us are single because we have thrown that clear to the back. And we get our Hebrew man and our Christian men that look like they can pray. They talk like you want them to. They go to the assembly and they go to the church house like you want them to. And then when you get with them, you realize they don't have no sense. They don't have what we call God-like images that have been put in man, no matter what their religion or faith is. It's some atheists that are men. And we're talking about men who understand how to protect, how to provide, how to keep the family together. Now, those are innate governmental principles from the heavenlies that have been put into man since creation. When the Most High created man, he said he created them in his image. And so we have men who are not in the faith, who really don't know, what path they're going to take as far as their spiritual walk is, but they are men in the sense of they know how to love their wives, they know how to take care of their wives, they know how to love their children, they know how to take care of their children. So it can't be that you must sit in the church house and you must sit in the camps in order to become a man, right? So then we need to understand what we need to be looking for when we are courting. So that's why I said, let's put the Hebraic stuff to the side. Let's put the church stuff to the side and let's talk logic. Because a lot of us as women, we don't use that side of our brain, our logical side of the brain. We don't use it. Okay. And we must think logically in some areas. Okay, so we're good at the spiritual stuff, but I guess not, because our discernment is off when we meet these men. Okay, our little discernment is off. So we're going to talk logically, because we can't be women that is mature and of age if we are not mature. If we are doing the same things that our 20-year-old daughters is doing, and you past 40, something is wrong. You can't even give your daughter advice because you don't even know what a good man is. And then you settle and then you bring him around your family. And your children looking at you like, what in the world is wrong with you? Okay, so we're going to talk, right? So what should we be looking for? We are in Babylon. We know that if we were in the land, wherever we think that is, if we were in our land, that we wouldn't have to go through this because we will be governed by our Torah, right? Our leaders will be governed by our Torah. We will teach our men how to be men. Our young lions will be raised up from birth on up, knowing who they are, understanding Torah, understanding their obligations to the family, and understanding how to walk upright before the Most High. However, we are not. We are in Babylon, but there is a way to have and build healthy families and have healthy relationships and healthy marriages. Okay, so we're going to talk logically right now about what to look for in our courting phase. Okay, and I'm going to share stories as I go along. And this is a series, so this is Hebraic courting, and it ain't what you think. We're going to talk logic. There's a lot of us be talking like we frolicking through the lilies, eating cotton candy, looking at the butterflies. No, sweetie, we in Babylon. This is not getting up, fixing your man breakfast with your 1920s little dress on with your hair tied up, frolicking around. That's cute. But we need to talk about the real crux of it all that's going to keep you and your husband and your family in a healthy and solid relationship and covenant. Okay? So number one, what should we look for when we are courting? Does he take care of himself? When you begin that, even before you get to the courting, let's just say you go out on your first date, right? Because you don't know if you want to court this man or not. He may be crazy. So you got to figure all of that out, right? So while you are trying to figure it out, this is what you should be looking for. Does he take care of himself? As you are dating him and you've gone out on a few dates, have you looked to see if he's taking care of himself? Because you need to know what type of man that you like. Because some women okay with men that, don't really take care of their outer appearance. You got to know what you like. But does he take care of himself? So does he take care of himself by grooming? Does he take care of himself physically? Is he popping 50,000 pills? From medicine, pills, not vitamins, not herbs, but is he popping 50,000 pills that the doctor prescribed him because he got 50,000 things wrong with him? Can you take care of a man that's already sick from jump, that do not take care of himself, that do not think about his well-being? Does he take care of himself as, where is he living at? Because we're going to get to finances in the end, but where is he living at? I know all men are not, home decor kings, but how does he live? Because this is forthtelling. Is that a deal breaker if he's a bum and living bummy? We call him a bum if they're living bummy, with their trash all over their floor and stuff like that. I don't know. To some women, that is. To some women, they think they can work with that. However, when you meet him at 40 and he can't even clean up and he just nasty, he nasty with himself, his hygiene, he nasty with his house, he nasty with his car, he nasty at his business, he's nasty. And when they're over 40, it's hard to change that. I know you think you're superwoman, you can, but you can't. And we're talking to women over 40. You know you can't. Not in that area, because he has grown to be a slob and he likes it. I'm just saying, we keeping it honest. Okay, we keeping it honest. So does he take care of himself overall? Does he take care of his finances? We're going to get to that in a minute, but can you see how he is? Is he stingy? Do he understand that he needs to pay for the date? I mean, what's going on? Are you going Dutch? What is he doing? Because we're talking to 40 years old and over. He believe in going Dutch at 40. That's what his daddy taught him. Or maybe he didn't have a daddy. Maybe he didn't have a father figure. And he's listening to the young men now. He's listening to the Rudy Poop men that says, we going Dutch. If you like that, then you like that, okay? That's what you like, that's fine. But know what you like. And don't try to change him once you get into the relationship. This is why When you're dating, you're looking for certain things. And when you're courting, you're not going to put up with certain things. Okay. And let me share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. So, what should we look for? All right. We did, does he take care of himself? Okay, we did that. Now I'm going to ask another question. Is he already on the path to his destiny? 40 and over. Yes, potential is great when you in your 20s, even when you in your early 30s. But doggone it, 40 and over, you should be on the path. Women, you should ask about his short-term goals in life and his long-term goals in life. We are mature. That man should be able to discuss those things. We supposed to be mature. So we're not supposed to be just Netflixing and chilling. We're not supposed to be talking about the latest event only on social media. What's on YouTube? We should not just have that conversation. We should have stipulated conversations that's going to lead if you both are a good fit for marriage. Because we 40 and over, we don't have time. Time is a tick, 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 ticking. We don't have time for you to sit there and say, well, do you read your Bible? Do you pray? Because he gonna say yeah. And you're gonna be tricked. And you're gonna get in that relationship because you asked the wrong questions. You was too focused on, do he know Torah? Yeah, and the devil do too. You was too focused on, does he pray? Does he keep Shabbat? Does he go to the feast days? Yes, and you can do all of those things and still not be a good fit for the kingdom. Because we cannot walk out Torah in our flesh. It's a spirit thing. However, when we're talking about marriage, hello, somebody. Yes, it's a covenant and it's spiritual and all that beautiful stuff. But honey, it's earthly too. You living on earth. And you need to ask questions and get out your little heavenly butterfly mind, thinking that you're just going to wrap your head up and wear your little dresses and frolic around. Whatever you like, I like. Whatever you say, I do. No. No, no, no. Okay, come on back down to earth. Okay? Because we are building healthy families and relationships. We got to build wealth. We got to instill into our children, the next generation, how to function here on earth after we have transitioned. So you need to know, is he already on his path to his destiny? Do he know what the Most High has called him to do? Does he understand his giftings and his talents? Is he walking in his giftings and his talents? Because we're talking about 40 plus. Do you know 50 in the Hebrew is a picture of a gray-haired man signifying wisdom? You're supposed to have wisdom by the time you get 50. So doggone, at 40, you should be already on this path. You should be right at the finish line of learning a whole lot of stuff. So by the time you're 50, you can start passing it on to the next generation. But no, we too immature. We out here being hot grandmas. We out here living our best life. I've heard I'm a financial grandma. I love my grandkids, but I don't have time for that. That's what we are. Super immature. Why? Because we are just babies having babies. A lot of us had babies really young and we were growing up fumbling across the way. And now we in our 40s and 50s, honey, and it's time to do me. And yes, after you have raised your family, right? And after you have really nurtured and did what you were supposed to do, yeah, it's time for you. And I'm not saying as you are raising your family and being a wife that you lose all of who you are and that you don't do any self-care. I'm not talking about self-care. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your obligation to your husband and your family, especially when you have a young family. Now, as the children transition into their adulthood, there's another level of living. There's another level of becoming who you really want to be. And I know in the world, they have it a little different. You know what I'm saying? They want their now. And I'm not saying that you can't have it all, but I'm saying there's stages to having it all. You can't have it all at once. That's not how life is. That's a fairy tale. That's why women break down. That's why women have mental health issues, because they're trying to do it all and you're going to lack somewhere. That's just how it is. So for me, there's different stages. When my children were young, I stayed at home and put it to my children as I was going to school, preparing for the next level of living. And yes, I was working here and there, but I really poured into my family. And now that they are adults, it's me time. But and it means that, you're going to focus on you, but you're not going to forget about grandchildren, and you're not going to forget about your husband. It's a balance, but there's different levels to that. Okay, so as you are thinking about that, you want to know, is he on the path? What are his short-term and long-term goals? Where do he see himself in 10, 20 years? Is he on the path? We must ask these questions, okay? Telling him he's so handsome, and he's telling you so pretty, and you so submissive, and that's not gonna get it, y'all. This is real talk. Ask him or listen to him as he talks. Does he talk about his family? Does he talk about his family? And so when I met my husband at 34, he was already on his path. He had his own trucking business. He had already been married once, so I already knew, he had a house with the ex-wife, things we talked. So I already knew he was on his path. I already knew his short-term and long-term goals. He wanted his own business and to build with a family. But at the time that I met him, he had got divorced. He was divorced for 5 years or so, and he was out there. But what he told me as we were talking is that he didn't want to be an old man, single, out there looking for a wife in the clubs or wherever. He wanted a wife and children. That's what he wanted. And he talked a lot about his grandmother, his great aunt, and his mother. He loved his grandfather. His grandfather is his hero. But honey, he would tell me story after story about those women. He talked about his family. And it was so funny. So story time. When I first started dating my husband, trying to figure out something, what this man is about, I was taken aback because he would talk to me about his work, his family, and all of that. And I was so abused from my previous relationships. I was just so used to being abused that I didn't know that men actually wanted to talk, have a normal conversation, okay, about their life, about their past, about their family. And I remember phoning a friend and saying, this man, he want to talk to me about his job. Why he talking to me about his job? Just as silly. Now, when my husband met me, I was on my journey to rediscovering myself. And I was put in a place where I had to, like the Most High, he just ripped me to shreds. And at that time, he was teaching me some things about myself. And we're going to talk about that in another video, how you have to prepare mentally for this man that's coming, right? But I was already on my journey. And so I had the wisdom at the time to say, if you don't know what to do, pick up the phone. Because, my little silly self was confused, but it felt funny. Like this man actually talking to me. And that's sad that most of us get abused so much that we don't know that a man really want to communicate and talk to you, especially if you're easy to talk to. And he felt I was easy to talk to. He liked my personality. We clicked and he was talking, but I wasn't used to that. I had to phone a friend and they had to tell me that's what men are supposed to do. They're supposed to talk to you. So does he talk about his family? Okay. And what is he saying about his family? Because again, my husband really loved the women in his family. Now, is the man you courted, is he talking bad about the women in his family? Is his memories of his mother not the best? Because if you find him not talking about the women in his family, 9 times out of 10, it wasn't a good relationship. Is that a deal breaker? No, I don't think that's a deal breaker. However, that's a flag, because what it says is that if he doesn't get on the journey to healing and understanding how to have relationships with women, if he's never had a positive relationship with women, getting with you over 40 without counseling and without really working on himself, he's not going to have a good relationship with you. You're not going to save him. He going to have to save himself. And if he meets you and he realizes that he like you and he really want to take this further and you could be marriage material, he will take the time to work on himself. However, that takes a lot of maturity. And most men, by the time they get 40 and they haven't did that work, they might not. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying they might not. So you want to pay attention to that. And if you see that he's not talking about his family in a positive way, you want to ask, so if you were to get married, how would you change the dynamic of your relationship with women? Because I see that you don't have a really positive or great relationship with your mother or women. Did you have a great relationship with your grandmother? You know, he needs to be saying that. If he didn't have a relationship with his mama, he needs to say something about his grandmother or his aunt. You need to see where he had some positive relationships, even if it's with exes or ex-wife. Did he have a positive relationship? Because I'm telling you, when you don't have a great relationship with your mom, you're going to have some issues and you're going to become immature growing up. Why do I say that? Because your mothers nurture you. Your mothers pour into you. Your mothers are your first teacher. So if you don't have a good relationship with your first teacher, with the one who should be nurturing you, then you're going to be broken, point blank, period. That goes for women too. That's why we're so immature, because a lot of us have broken relationships with our mothers. That's real talk. That's on both sides of the spectrum. That's just not for men. Women are walking around broken, emotionally immature, because you were not poured into properly. You were not taught really how to be a woman as far as the emotions go, because you were emotionally disconnected from your mother. How could you know how to be emotionally connected to anybody? And you pass that on to your children. If you was not emotionally connected to your mother, you're going to have a hard time hugging and kissing your children. Now, some people overcome that, and if they didn't have it, they make sure their children have it. But some of us, don't. And you don't know how to become emotionally connected to people. It is what it is. And we need to have these talks. If you didn't have a good relationship with your mom or dad, you need to talk about it. Because how are you both going to rectify that going forward if you choose to court and get ready for marriage? How are you going to rectify that? You must talk about it, okay? How does he handle his relationship? So this is what I was saying about talking about family, but also, how does he handle his friends? What kind of friends do he have? You better look. A quick Google and Gaga and look with clear goggles. And this is why we don't have sex. Now, the Most High said, abstain, do not fornicate. Now, With that being said, okay, you know that you probably have not followed that commandment. You probably is not a virgin. Okay, you probably was not a virgin when you got married the first time, if you've been married before. So you know that when you have sex, for women, we are emotionally connected. I know a lot of us hot girls out here is walking around talking about we hot girls and we having a hot girl summer, and we just as bold as the men, and we can have sex with whoever we want to, and we ain't connected. They lying through they got doggone teeth. I don't care if they trying to turn that emotional connector off. You were built from the beginning to be emotionally attached to whoever you have sex with. Now, I don't agree sex is marriage, so don't come over here with that. Don't come over here with that. We're not talking about that right now, because that's just poor scholarship for people that believe that. People that believe sex is marriage, they do not know how to take the Bible and put the scriptures in its correct context. That's poor scholarship. That's you didn't pay attention in school. It is what it is. I'm telling you, I'm getting real on that one. So we're not going to start that debate. Sex is marriage. But you are emotionally connected. That's why he tells you don't do it. Because when you do it, you're going to have all of that attached to you when you do get married. And we all know that's true. Right? So sex for women, it fogs our memory. We get emotionally silly, and we don't know how to look at the relationship with clear glasses, with a clear mind, because our emotions, oh, no. And that's why you don't. And if you already did the do for years, honey, you can suck it up, tighten it up, close your legs, sew it up. Honey, you done already had it. You done already had, don't play with me. You done already had in many ways. Now, I do commend our virgins. Yes, I do. I am so happy to see virgins on the rise and people that are abstaining. It does my heart good. But I'm talking to those that have not. And you've been bumping and grinding for 30 plus years. You've been bumping and grinding for 30 plus years, and you're trying to tell me now that you're over 40 and you know what you want, and you're coming into your womanhood and you're maturing, that you can't settle them emotions, and you can't close your legs and allow your authentic self to come forth and to be able to see if this man is who he say he is. You can. And I know that I'm married. But you know what? Looking out here, especially in the Hebraic community, and seeing what's going on, I can't say what I want to say. But honey, please, I would not have no problems. Not with what's going on out here. Is you crazy? I had a man who saw me and saw my potential and saw me with 5 young children and said, yes, that's the one. He took care of me before we got married. When he met me, I was living with my godmother because, as I said, the Most High had ripped everything off from under me. And I was like butt naked, just sitting before him with my children, back in the same place as I was before. And I was like, oh, he's telling me something. And I was mad. And I had got out the church and I was just sitting out and I was mad. But he was teaching me something. My husband saw that. Divine timing. And you know what my husband did? Don't take all that, y'all. Look at how he does relationships, okay? So when he saw me, he put me in an apartment and he paid for it. He said, no, ma'am, you're not going to stay with your godmother with 5 kids. No. He got me in an apartment, paid for it. He gave me his car because he was a truck driver. He owned his trucking business, and his car, he would park it, in Illinois at the truck stop. And he said, my car is sitting here as I go on the road. You might as well drive it. Gave me the keys to the car and bought a cell phone and put it in my hand. Because I didn't always have a cell phone. That's how poor I was. I didn't always have a cell phone, off and on with it. And if I did have a cell phone, I can't remember if I did, but he was like, take this cell phone, I'm paying for it. Right? And I was like, bought my furniture, bought our food. He started taking care of my children and me early on. Now I'm going to tell you what my husband said, ladies, because that's going to be in the next video, but I'm going to give you this. It don't take all day for a man to know if he want to be with you or not. No, it don't. It don't take all day. He know what he want. And he know if you have made the cut, right? He know if you have checked off most of the boxes on his list. However, according to my husband, he said, now, if you allow him to just linger on and to stretch this thing out, that's what he's going to do. He's going to stretch that relationship out for as long as you let him, because that's just his nature. And the minute that you put your foot down and say, then he will submit to that. That's what he said. And before people get to typing in the comment, your husband a simp, you better go and check. You better do your own research and check and look at my husband, and you come back and tell me if that looked like a simp. You just go check me out, find me on the social sites, do your due diligence, and you look and see if that's a simp. Because he not. My husband is a manly man. He walks in all of his God-given or Yah-given masculinity. Most people are terrified of him. And it's not because he's such a scary person. It's not because he's such a big person. He's 6'3", 280, but he stands in the authority of a man. And most men do not mess with my husband. Okay, I remember we were in Target one time, and a black older man turned around. He said, sir, he said, now I'm 70-some years old, and I'm a veteran, and he was going on about the war he was in. He said, I wouldn't take you on with two of my friends. I was cracking up. And my husband is not the biggest. You know what I'm saying? He ain't the tallest. It's just that the way that he carries himself, you know that he is a man. So don't come with me. He's simpy. People burn me up with all this effeminate energy going on. And we're going to get to that later. Because women, we have made some effeminate men. Yes, we have. And they out here having babies, 20s and 30s, being just as effeminate as they want to be. And we're going to talk about what I mean by effeminate, because they don't like men, right? I'm not saying that they like men, that they are sexually attracted to men. I'm saying that they act like emotional women because you raised them and their father was not in the picture. And they're walking around emotional and don't have no logic. Off balance, like they on their periods. Yes, I said it. I sure did. Okay. But we're going to get to that later on down the road. I told you, I'm coming for it because these are questions and concerns that we as over 40, come on now, we should not be afraid to talk or to have these conversations. We should not. No, ma'am. Some of us half of 100, over half of 100, 3/4 of 100, and you scared to have these conversations. I wish I would. Now that I know what I know, now that I have the confidence, I wish I would not have these conversations. I wish I would not conversate and tell my sons, no, sir. No, sir, you're not gonna be an effeminate man, not around me. No, sir. I wish I would not teach my girls, you're not walking in no masculine energy, not on my watch. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You're not doing it. All right. So how does he handle his relationships? Another story. When we were courting, and my husband was just a big giver. And let me tell you something. We talked because we were grown. And he told me that he was divorced, but he still helped his ex-wife. He still paid her mortgage. I know people about to type, he a simp. No, he understands being a provider and a covering. And even though he divorced or she divorced him and she had 2 children, he just felt compelled to help her because you know what? His father said so. His father said so. That's the type of stock he comes from. His father told him, his grandfather told him. So that's what he did. He covered her even though they were not legally married because he felt that was the right thing to do. Women, y'all better hear me, okay? And so when I found that out, but I saw that he was helping a lot of people and he was playing Santa Claus in my eyes. And I did not like that because the people, including his ex-wife, was just, using him up. And I understood, why he did what he did, with his ex-wife. I really did. However, as we were moving into the 3rd month, I was like, I told him, I said, listen, I am not dating. I am not dating material. We about to get real. I was a single mother with 5 children. There is no way I was dating material. There was no way that I had suitors lined up all across the neighborhood, lined up to try to make me their wife. No, they wasn't. I was a single mother of 5 little children. So no, people was not banging my door down to try to marry me. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think I'm ugly and I wasn't attractive and men wasn't attracted to me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as far as getting married, they were not banging my door down. Okay? And my children's father, yeah, I could have. But we'll talk about that later. I could have, but I told my dad, we're going to be in jail. I'm going to be in jail or he going to be in jail. And we're going to be divorced. So no. But I wasn't, I realized I wasn't a hot commodity and that was okay. I felt I was attractive anyway. I felt I was attractive. And I knew that when my children got older, that, I could potentially get married and I was okay with that. But I was not going to be dating with 5 children. And, he was like, So we talked about, where is this going? I know he was taking care of me from jump. But, I'm like, where's this, this is nice, but where's it really going? Because you're acting like a husband. You're taking care of me like a husband, but we're not talking about, really, where's this going? Ladies, you have to say something. And I was gaining up the maturity and the courage to be like, no, I don't care what you're doing for me. If this not going, I've said this, if this not going anywhere, because he had made me mad one time and I don't know what he did. It was something that he said to me. And I'm telling you, I went from 0 to 100 and he had never seen me upset. But listen, I told that man, I said, you could take your car, your phone, and you take that money and wipe the crack of your behind with it. Said, shove the rest. Y'all. Yes, I did. Because what I told him is that I'm not playing any more games. I'm a single mother that I need to concentrate on my children. You know what I'm saying? So if he was playing games, you're not about to play them over here. Take your little toys and go somewhere. And I told him, I said, now I'll cry and I will be upset, but I'll get over it. That's exactly what I told him. I remember that like yesterday because I said that with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. Take your money, your car, and your phone. and shove it. Okay, so you're going to have to get serious about you. And that man will know when you're serious about you. And that did nothing but turn my husband on, like, woo, this firecracker, she not playing. Because I didn't get upset. I carried myself well. I believe I'm very feminine. But at that point, I was like, no, sir. No, sir. Not even you. Not even you. All right. So how does he handle relationships? Okay. So let's see. Ooh, the last one, right? How does he handle finances? I hope that we, at the age of 40 and over, is beginning to think, if you have not already started before then, that you begin to think about your finances and how you're handling your finances. Because that is the way that you're going to ask him, because you are really handling yours, I hope. And if you're not handling your finances and you're not really thinking about that, then, you can't put all that on him. You're going to have to be a wise wife and know how to handle finances just as much as him, because finances is like, that's the number one deal breaker in marriages, and people get divorced. Okay. It's really a deal breaker in a lot of marriages. And so even with me and my husband, he was making money. He had a business, he had money. He was established, but he was not a good saver because he felt he always could make money. And that at the time, because I didn't have none. So, I was working, doing my, little stuff, but I didn't have the money he had. But I went to his father and I said, we have a problem with finances, because I had that much sense. And even to this day, we talk about finances and saving because that's just not his strong suit. And so you have to know his weaknesses in finances. Are you good in finances? Is he weak in finances? Do you take over the budget and the saving, right? So you got to talk about finances, where you want to see yourself. What kind of job is he working? Does he, are you all on a retirement plan? How does that look in the future? Where you want to retire to? How do you want to retire? It's okay to talk about finances. You're supposed to. He's the provider, and he should be man enough to sit down and talk about that with you. He should. You're grown. You're good and grown. Okay, so talk about finances. Get your finances in order, because I did not have great financial literacy when our business failed. Can you believe I'm fussing about finances, how he don't save, and I didn't save either? I will say this. At that time, I got just as silly with spending, and I did not save like I should have. I did not. And I look back over there, I said, I was not a good wife in that area. In that area, I was not a good wife. I knew that he struggled with saving. Right? And so after the business failed, you best to believe Tina started really looking at finances, saving as much as I could for if something break down. And ladies, you need to save, because if something happens to your husband, you need to have some backup. Because if you have to take over, if he say he gets hurt or he's sick, you guys need to have saving, and you need to save for you also. If something happens to him, y'all forbid, if he passes on, are you going to be able to take care of yourself? Are you running a business? If you're not running a business while you're married, you got to think about that. You got to think about your career, how you would take care of yourself, life insurance policies, Social Security benefits, spousal benefits. This is real talk. This is why sexist marriage is trash. You can sexist marriage if you want to and don't have no license and stuff, and you let people talk you out of that. You are a captive in Babylon. They already got your social security number and your birth certificate. What are y'all talking about? Most of us got our fingerprints and footprints when we were born and stuff like that. Because back then, they took your little footprints, put it on your birth certificate back then. I know little millennial people don't know what the hell we talking about. Excuse me, but y'all silly? You think your great grandmother would tell you not to have a marriage license so you can get what you're supposed to get for loving that man and helping to take care of that man when he transition? He should want to have that for you, ladies. What is the problem? You don't want your man to take care of you when you are a widow? You don't want him to think about you? You don't want him to plan for you when he transitions and you are a widow? I just don't understand. I don't understand what's going on in this Hebraic awakening when it's coming to marriage. Ain't nobody no gold digger because y'all Negroes don't got nothing. She's talking about gold digging. She just wants you for your money. What money? Because even though my husband was making six figures, what money? When you get up there and you start making 6+ figures, you realize that's not really any money in America. You realize some things. Once you get out the poverty mindset and you start, moving on up, you realize, oh, that ain't no money. That ain't no money, right? And I know that's far-fetched to some people making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, but really, the more money you make, as they say, the more bills you got to pay, the more problems. It's true. Because you got businesses, you got trucks, you got stuff, you got kids, you got college, you got babysitting. Okay, especially when you have a lot of children. But you can be frugal and you can make economic frugal decisions. You can. Right? So you want to have discussions about finances. That's super, super important. And if he shies away from that and he starts talking crazy, run. Because you both should be able to talk about how you're going to build together as you enter into marriage. Have that conversation. And ladies, you got to know what type of man you want. So this is why we are courting with intention. This is why we're going to lay to the aside does he pray? Does he read his word? And all of that, because they could do all of that and don't have none of these qualities. And then now you got a Hebrew man who read his scriptures all day and pray, but he ain't heard nothing the Most High said. Get up and get a job, start saving, go back to school, start a business. He can't hear none of that because he's just a robot who is excited about being a Hebrew, but don't really know what that means and don't know how to walk in his manhood because he was never taught that. But he sound good when he pray. But after he finished praying and get up off of his knees, he don't even hear nothing. He don't know what to do. He looking at you. And that's why I say put that to the side for a minute. Because if he has all of these and his spiritual life is not really where you want it to be, as my parents, as my husband's parents, as our grandparents, as our great-grandparents, they started with this and they grew together. I know y'all don't like that. I don't care. It's right. Ask your grandparents, ask your aunties, ask your uncles, ask your cousins, older cousins, great-grandparents. Ask them how they met. Did they start off in the church? Did they start off in the Hebrew assembly? Ask them. Those that's been married 30, 40, 50+ years, ask the question. And I'm going to tell you, ladies, something. You need a man who loves you more than you love him. And I got that from an older woman that had been married 50+ years. I was sitting at a laundromat. I don't know why she was talking to me like that. That's what she was saying one day. Get you a man, honey, that love you more. Because women, we know how to love. Nobody got to tell us how to love, honey. We was born and bred for that. We're givers. We're nurturers. Of course, we know how to love our men. But sometimes we love our men and they aren't even checking for us. They just settle. Well, I guess she loved me so much. She chasing me down. I guess I'll settle for this. No, no, ma'am. And men know what I'm talking about when I say that. They get it because I hope they think with their logical senses and know that yes, I'm gonna love my woman because man, she's gonna pour into me. And I'm gonna reciprocate more love because she's pouring so much love into me. I can't help but to reciprocate that. Common sense, y'all, but it's not so common in today's world as I see. And I was immature. These are things that I had to grow into, that the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Holy Spirit, had to tell me. I learned a whole lot of lessons sitting in my godmother's home, being chastised by the Most High. And we'll talk about that in another video. Okay, but this is just a series, part 1, Hebraic courting or courting, common sense courting, logical courting, get out of your emotions courting. This is what this is, okay? So stay tuned for the next part, and we're going to talk about what men look for. And this is coming from men that I have talked to, my husband and other men, okay? Men that really want a wife and are good men. So we're going to talk about what men look for, all right, in the next one. So I hope this has helped you, my lovely, beautiful sisters. And I'll see you in the next video. Shalom, everyone.